You do not lack discipline. You lack self-respect. Not because you are weak, not because you are broken, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped believing your own words. And when a man can no longer trust himself, every promise becomes heavy. Deep down, you already know. You know what you are avoiding. You know the promises you keep burying. You know the version of yourself you keep delaying. And that is why this hurts, because the problem was never a lack of information. The problem is that you have lied to yourself too many times. You said, tomorrow. But tomorrow came, and nothing changed. You said, this is the last time, but you returned to the same habit again. Quietly, silently, as if your future was not watching. Every broken promise leaves a mark, not on your body, not on your schedule, but somewhere deeper, in the part of you that still remembers who you said you would become. And after enough broken promises, your mind stops trusting you. That is the real damage. Not the wasted night, not the lost hour, not the bad habit. The real damage is that you begin to see yourself as someone who talks but never follows through. Someone who dreams but never pays the price. Someone who wants change but keeps choosing escape. And when that becomes your identity, discipline feels impossible. Because discipline is not built from motivation. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Discipline is built from self-trust, and self-trust is built every time you do what you said you would do. Most people think discipline is about force. They think it means pushing harder, suffering more, becoming colder. But real discipline is not punishment. Real discipline is protection. It is the quiet act of protecting your future from the weakest version of yourself. Self-respect begins in the dark. Not when people are watching, not when someone praises you, not when the world claps. It begins when you are alone, when no one would know if you failed, when no one would know if you gave in, and you still choose not to betray yourself. That is where a man is rebuilt. In silence, in private, in the moments that look small to everyone else. Closing the phone, keeping the promise. Sitting with discomfort, choosing the harder truth instead of the easier lie. You do not lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself slowly, one excuse at a time, one delay at a time, one empty promise at a time, until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the person looking back. And maybe that is the moment you need. Not a motivational speech, not another plan, not another perfect routine, but a moment of honesty. A moment where you stop pretending you are confused, because you are not confused. You are avoiding the truth. The truth is, you know what must change. You just keep negotiating with the part of you that wants comfort more than growth. And every time you lose that negotiation, your future becomes smaller. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. Day by day. Time does not shout when it leaves. It does not beg you to notice. It simply and one day, the life you could have built becomes a memory of what you almost became. That is why tomorrow is dangerous. Tomorrow is where weak promises go to hide. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You do not need to rebuild your entire life in one day. You only need one honest promise. One promise small enough to keep and serious enough to matter. Because the smallest kept promise can become the beginning of self-respect. Do not promise the world. Promise one action, one page, 1 hour, one decision, one refusal, one moment where you choose your future over your comfort. And when you keep that promise, something inside you begins to change. Your mind starts listening again. It starts to wonder, maybe this time he means it. Maybe this time he will not abandon himself. Maybe this time the person he claims to be and the person he acts like will finally become the same. That is the beginning of self-respect. Not perfection, not confidence, not some loud transformation, but alignment. the quiet alignment between your words and your actions, between what you say you value and what you actually protect. Because you cannot respect yourself while constantly betraying yourself. You cannot become someone you admire while repeating choices that make you ashamed. You cannot build a strong identity on broken promises. At some point, you must stop asking for motivation and start asking for honesty. Ask yourself, is this choice making me stronger? Is this choice making me smaller? Is this the act of someone I respect? Or is this another escape disguised as comfort? Most of the time, the answer is already there. You just do not want to hear it. But hearing it is the beginning, because the truth does not destroy you. It wakes you up. It shows you the distance between who you are and who you could become. And once you see that distance clearly, you have a choice. Return to sleep or begin. Begin without drama. Begin without announcing it. Begin without waiting to feel ready. Because readiness is often just another excuse. The door does not open for the person who keeps thinking about walking through it. It opens for the person who moves. So move. Not perfectly, not loudly, not for applause. Move because you are tired of watching your own potential disappear. Move because you are tired of being haunted by the person you could have been. Move because your future deserves proof. Proof that you care. Proof that your words mean something. Proof that you are no longer available for the same old betrayal. And every time you keep a promise, you recover a piece of yourself. A piece you lost to comfort. A piece you lost to delay. A piece you lost to fear. This is how self-respect is rebuilt. Not through one great act, but through quiet repetition. One promise kept, then another. Then another, until your mind no longer sees you as the person who quits, but as the person who returns again and again. And that person becomes dangerous. Not because he is perfect, not because he never falls, but because he no longer uses falling as a reason to stay down. He no longer worships comfort. He no longer treats his future like something disposable. One day, you will meet the result of your choices. You will meet the life you protected or the life you abandoned. You will meet the person you became. And on that day, you will understand that discipline was never the real issue. Self-respect was. So today, do not ask yourself if you feel motivated. Ask yourself if you are willing to respect your own life. Ask yourself if you are willing to stop lying to yourself. Ask yourself if the next choice is worthy of the person you still have the chance to become. Because you do not lack discipline. You lack self-respect. And the moment you begin to respect yourself, discipline stops feeling like a punishment. It becomes a return to your word, a return to your strength, a return to the person you were always meant to become.